Is it a mistake to keep Luke Walton?
No. It would be a mistake to get rid of Luke Walton. And here's why. Let's get the feelings out of this. Let's get our emotions out of this, and let's look at the facts. And I'm not saying Luke Walton is Phil Jackson or Greg Popovich, okay? I'm not saying he's going to be some all-time great coach. But here are the facts. The problem with the Lakers, there are many, but it's not Luke Walton. And again, he may bear some of the blame, but it shouldn't all go at his feet. The first problem with the Lakers is injuries. Okay, when they were healthy with LeBron James, they were 20-14. At one point, they were 6 or 7 games over 500, and they were the 4th seed in the West. And they beat Golden State on Christmas Day in a huge game. Now, was Luke Walton the coach then? Yes. So you mean to tell me within the last month and a half, he forgot how to coach? Okay, here's the injury list. LeBron misses 18 games. Rondo misses 34 games. Brandon Ingram misses 11 games. Lonzo Ball misses 10 games. You want to talk about his rotation seems like he doesn't really have one. How are you supposed to put together a solid rotation when you have all of these injuries? And when you have your best player, LeBron, you have to play one way, and then when he's gone, you have to play a completely different way, even in the midst of the same game sometimes. Second thing, is it Luke's fault that they can't shoot free throws? And I don't want to hear, he's got to make them practice. You don't think they're practicing? Shaquille O'Neal practices free throws. He just couldn't shoot them. The Lakers are dead last in the NBA in foul shooting, 68%. That's horrendous. LeBron, for some reason, is having his worst year from the line ever, 68%. Brandon Ingram, 66%. And Lonzo, 42%. That's not on Luke. Third thing, roster composition. You signed LeBron James. What has been the formula for LeBron James to be at his best and win championships? Surround him with three-point shooters. What do? Go get Lance Stevenson. Go get Rajon Rondo. Go get Michael Beasley. None of whom really can shoot the three ball well. And LeBron has something to do with that too. He was involved with what free agents he wanted them to go get. They want to try something new. It didn't work. And the proof is here that they know they're wrong. What'd they do at the trade deadline? Trade for Reggie Bullock and Mike Muscala for one reason and one reason only. They can shoot three-pointers. All right, they're 26 in the league in three-point shooting. Again, Luke didn't put together this disjointed roster. Then, fourth, the sign of a good coach in the NBA or any level is defense. Does his team defend? The Lakers during November, December, and January were a top 10 defensive team. We've all talked about how LeBron doesn't defend anymore. Even with that, they were a top 10 defensive team. They're still ranked 12th after falling off the map in the last few weeks. And why did they fall off the map defensively? This is going to sound crazy. Maybe I'll sound like LeVar Ball. But the loss of Lonzo has hurt them defensively. In the 47 games Lonzo's played, their ranking is 106. That's in the top 10 defensively. He's a good defender, and they like to switch all the time. He's long. He can play different positions, so he's a great guy in the switch defense. The 10 games without Lonzo, their defensive rating is 118. Put that in perspective. The Cleveland Cavaliers have the worst defense in the league. They're rating 114. So that's how bad the defense is without Lonzo. So you can't put all that on Luke Walton. They are setting him up to be the scapegoat for the front office, for LeBron, for the other players, and it's not right. And Jeannie Buss is right to say he's going to be here at least for the rest of the season.
I agree with a lot of what you said, almost all of it. The last part, the scapegoat. There's always a scapegoat when it comes to things not working out to plan or according to plan. There has to be a scapegoat. In sport, that's just the reality we live in. And when I hear the reports that Jeannie Buss, Magic, and Pelinka are all united, Yeah, they're united because Jeannie Buss said this is what's going to take place. So there has to be an agreement there. They don't really believe that Luke Walton, I believe Magic and Pelinka, they don't believe that Luke Walton is there in their future. He was not the coach that they brought in there with them. So that is one thing that Luke Walton has against him. Yes, to your points, everything that you mentioned from a statistical standpoint, free throw shooting, the roster personnel, it wasn't Luke Walton's fault, but this is what he has to manage. Yes, they were the 4th seed. I don't want to hear what they were. I want to hear what they are. And what they are is a bad team that is not getting it done, and this is why. When you have a Lance Stevenson on a 1-year contract, when you have a Rajon Rondo on a 1-year contract, you have a JaVale McGee on a 1-year contract, these are all your veterans. You have LeBron James, the veteran in the locker room, obviously the superstar. He's on a 4-year deal. We all understand that. There's division in that locker room. You have veterans who think, you know what? I deserve more. I need to go out here and prove that I can get more. But I deserve more because I've been in this league for a long time. Then you have a slew of young guys. You have the Lonzo Balls, the Brandon Ingrams, the Kyle Kuzma, all these guys who feel like I'm proving to play into a big contract, a big deal. And then you decide, you know what? We can do better than you young guys. So we'll ship all of you out, including Lonzo and Lance Stevenson, for AD. You don't think that creates some tension in that locker room and within that organization?
That tension is not Luke's fault.
I'm not saying it is Luke's fault. This is a scapegoat mentality. This is what happens. And so now Luke is left to manage that. When LeBron James is in the huddle and he's not even talking to Luke Walton and he's discussing more with Brian Shaw than anybody else, that's problematic. That's problematic, and that's Luke Walton. That falls back on Luke Walton. He doesn't have control of this team any longer. And when a coach loses control of the locker room or the guys that are important, and he no longer has a voice that can echo and say, guys, this is how we need to get it done. This is what coach is saying. And they're following suit because the number one guy is in line, being LeBron James, then you don't have a problem. But with the Lakers, that's their problem. LeBron James isn't in agreement with Luke Walton. So nobody else is going to feel like, you know what, we should listen to him too. No, this is why Luke Walton has to go. It has nothing to do with the fact that he's not a good coach. I believe he is. But from a player's perspective and being inside locker rooms, once there is tension and division and you can't corral that and you can't find a way to get these guys to play to the level of expectation, you're the same.
So he should go now? Because that was the question.
He's not going to fix it. I don't see this getting remedied. The only thing that can remedy this is if LeBron James says, guys, let's go. Let's make the playoffs. Let's lock it in. And, I mean, they're not going to go deep into the playoffs.
He should say that.
I mean, he has to.
He can say all he wants. The only problem is, see, this is the problem I have. And I hear all the stats and numbers and where they were 3 months ago and all this. But let's just be honest. Where they are now is not good enough. LeBron is back. You can talk about all this. Lonzo's not here. And the same thing, Greg, the thing that bothers me the most is watching them defensively. Because that's effort. That's when you decide.
You don't have to coach that.
You don't have to.
No, you do have to coach in terms of technique.
No, effort.
No, effort.
Yeah, but effort alone is more than effort.
There's no effort. There's no effort.
Defense is more than effort. It's technique. Are we a switching team or are we not a switching team?
But there's no effort there, and that's the problem that I have, is that also there were games this year where they needed to win, Greg, and they weren't ready. When the Knicks came to town, the Knicks have lost 18 straight since beating the Lakers. 18
That's
straight.
That's your favorite stat.
No, well, because it's telling. They also lost to the Cavaliers. That's where a coach has to say, these are important games that we can't afford to lose here. They weren't ready for those games. Go look it up, Chris. They came out and got kicked in the teeth to start the games. They weren't ready.
Is your answer he should be fired over this break?
All I'm saying is
that
he's part of the problem. There's no doubt about it.
I'm not saying he's
And I'm not
blameless.
giving him a pass just because LeBron James missed some games and because, oh, my God, Lonzo Ball's not playing. So that's the reason the Lakers should be in the situation where they are, which is on the outside of the playoffs looking in. nobody would have
LeBron's
imagined.
not the reason they're on the outside of the play.
No,
his absence.
Part of
That's the reason.
Part of it.
Let's just keep it real.
But there were games that they could have won without LeBron, and they did not do
and there
that.
were games. Should they have beaten Oklahoma City without LeBron?
They won that game, but
it balances out.
It doesn't balance out.
You're gonna blame him for the losses that they shouldn't have lost, but not give him credit.
I'm not saying I'm not giving
him
him any credit for those games, but there are those situations. And here's the problem. Jeannie Buss likes him. Good. Luke Walton's a good guy, a nice guy. It can't be based on just because I like you.
Should he be fired right now? That's the question. I want to hear the answer.
That wasn't the question.
It is the question.
I thought it was.
Is it a mistake?
Is it a mistake?
Is it a mistake to keep him for the rest of the season?
Yes.
I'm not saying you're saying that. Yes, I know.
Yes, it is, because the culture has to change. The dynamics have to change in order for them to achieve what we all know that they are.
What should change is that they should come back, starting with LeBron, and say, "Look, we got to make the playoffs." We had Chris Broussard on yesterday. They wanted Eric Spoelstra out, all of them. Bosh, LeBron, Wade is what I was told, all of them. Pat Riley sat him down and said, "This is the guy. If you're going to win, it's going to be with him."
Magic and them need to say
a
completely different dynamic.
No, it's a big difference.
What's the difference?
They weren't under 500, and they weren't.
They were to start the season.
No, after the first 8 games, Chris.
No, after the first 17, they were 9-8.
We're talking about 55 games into the season.
They were playing fine when LeBron was healthy. All I'm saying, I'm not saying he's got to be the coach next year. You can fire him at the end of the season. I'm saying if they want to make the playoffs, which they do, then they got to do it with Luke Walton. And Magic and Pelinka need to say, look, everybody in here wants to make the playoffs. For you young boys, it's going to help you. Whether you're here or elsewhere, it's going to be good experience for you. It's going to say something about your reputation as a player. For LeBron, it's going to help you. And if you're going to make the playoffs, you got to do it with Luke.
You don't have to do it with
this season.
Yeah, they have
season,
to,
that's all I'm
because
saying.
Jeannie Buss is telling them.
Right.
Well, that's your only choice.
So that's the hammer. To have some pride as players. I don't care who's coaching. He's not the worst coach in the league.
Nobody's saying he's the worst coach.
So then why can't you play for him for 25 games?
But the results, especially since LeBron has come back, have been
You're
terrible.
a prisoner of the moment,
No, I have
Mr.
to
Rob
be.
Parker.
I need
That's
to be.
5 games.
Yes, but this is where they're out of the playoff picture and falling every day.
They're out of the playoff picture because the best player in the world got hurt.
No, he's back
he's never
now,
been
Chris.
hurt like that.
You can't keep
in his
saying
career.
that. He's back.
It's 5 games back. He's still not 100%. You can see it. And I'm saying we wouldn't even be having this conversation
for me,
if LeBron has been healthy.